Welcome to Turtlebird Reviews. Today we're going to talk about Hilda.
So Hilda is a Netflix original cartoon that follows the adventures of a blue-haired girl named Hilda as she explores forests and towns full of fantasy and magic and places you might not expect.
After watching Season 1 and hearing that Season 2 is coming out, we thought we'd give you our thoughts on this wonderful show because we like it a lot.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest impacts a story can leave you with are in what it makes you think and feel. And Hilda fills you with warmth and comfort and magic and whimsicalness. And it's kind of like when you're in the wintertime and you have a cup of hot cocoa and you just kind of curl up on the couch and you know, chill.
It's cozy.
Yeah, it's very good.
So the first time I binge watched Hilda was about 2 years ago. I was sick with stomach flu and I just had a raging fever and I was throwing up. And I just watched this for like the 2 days that I was out. I just watched it completely through. And it was a really good escape for me right then. And just a good escape into a world that's filled with charm and heart. And just, it was helpful at that time.
So the show is based off of a series of graphic novels that are written by Luke Pearson. And he also created the show. So he's involved in both projects. It features Hilda, of course. And she lives in a house in the wilderness with her mom. She loves to roam the great outdoors, and she has a pet, what they call deer fox, named Twig.
Yeah, she loves to get into adventures, and these adventures usually land her in trouble, because this world is full of dangerous creatures like trolls and giants and monsters and things like that. And most of the time she's able to find her way through using wit and courage and kindness. She's a very kind character, but also very headstrong at the same time. So she's a great heroine. She's very genuine and very open-hearted, but she's also flawed enough to be likable.
Hilda tends to face her problems head-on and plunges into danger without really thinking about it first. She eventually finds that she can't solve every problem this way. Eventually, she and her mother are forced to leave their wilderness home and move to the city called Trollberg, which is nearby. And Hilda's faced with the uncertainty of change and new obstacles in life.
So the thing I love about Hilda is that you can find magic everywhere in this world. There's a lot of, well, it's kind of based off a lot of Nordic mythology and folklore. So the world is full of that. There's trolls outside of the city, Trollberg, trying to get in. Nightmare spirits and invisible elves and ghosts that might clean up your room while you're sleeping. There are house guardians that might bring you a cup of tea from a pocket dimension.
Hilda uncovers this kind of magic everywhere she goes. She might trade secrets with like a rat king, or or she might find arcane books in like hidden wings of the libraries and things like that. And she's usually making unusual friends while she's at it.
So as she finds and gains these new friends, she can usually be found helping them to succeed or dragging them into adventures and trouble that they never asked for. The subject matter gets kind of dark sometimes for a kid's show that's following 11-year-olds, but it kind of balances that out with maturity and also positive messages.
Episodes usually start with a normal day that quickly turns into a mystery after some unusual occurrences. We then get to see Hilda face the unknown and overcome it, usually with help from her friends. The formula is pretty simple, but it still packs a punch for every episode. There are themes and characters that span like the entire season, so it's not too episodic. There's some stuff that has through lines throughout the whole thing. Certain monsters might make like a little cameo early on before appearing for real later on. So you can tell they put a lot of thought into it for sure. Yeah. It makes for a pretty satisfying experience, even for adults, even though it's marketed towards kids. And it never really feels stale or one-note.
There are little jokes and quips in there that would kind of go over a kid's head.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a little predictable in the plot, but that's okay. It's really well done.
So the writing is pretty decent. The world is pretty well developed. It feels believable and lived in. And then the show as a whole feels meaningful and it's fresh. It's nice. It's so charming. None of the 13 episodes of the first season feel pointless. They're all going somewhere.
Yeah.
There's no filler episodes, which is nice. And there's not necessarily a grand arc to the whole season, I would say. If there is an arc, it's in the character of Hilda herself, not really
and what she goes through. So most of the villains that show up have some depth to them that you might not expect at first, but there's definitely some that are just kind of, there to be a scary monster or just a challenge to the hero. And while the straightforward nature of the show might seem dull to some people, the charm and wit combined with some really good pacing and the wholesome characters make it a really refreshing experience for us. Hilda looks really great with the visuals. It has a very pleasing aesthetic, and it really fits the mood of the show and how it's framed. It doesn't feel cheaply made like some other Netflix shows do. It's not like a masterpiece. It's not like one of the best cartoons ever made as far as the visuals go, but it serves the story and the mood well enough.
Yeah.
It's really good at nailing the atmosphere, for sure.
Yeah, it follows the art style of the graphic novels, I believe. There are a lot of shots of beautiful landscapes that kind of ease you into the story. Mm-hmm. And then it's full of like a quiet confidence. Like it doesn't need to be explosive.
It's not like overcompensating too much with trying to be.
It's not trying to be chaotic
and
just.
It's a lot more subtle. It's a lot more just toned down, relaxed.
And a lot of kids' cartoons feel like in order to keep kids' attention, they have to be all over the place and loud and popping. And this show doesn't feel the need to do that, which is a nice change of pace.
So as far as the voice acting goes, like the visuals, it's not nearly as exaggerated or insane as some other cartoons. It has like a calming quality to it that complements the show pretty nicely.
Standout performances are Bella Ramsey as Hilda and then Daisy Haggard as Hilda's mom. Mm-hmm. Nobody does a bad job here. It's all pretty great. Very professional, very charming. And then alongside that, we have a musical score, which is kind of surprisingly made up of these indie folk songs.
Yeah, exactly.
I was listening to the track while preparing to make this video, and it's just. You should give it a listen, even apart from the show.
Definitely look up. Even if you never watched the show, look up the soundtrack and just listen to it, because it's kind of...
It's bizarre, but it's wonderful.
Another way that Hilda shines is in its characters. They're really well done for a kid's cartoon. Hilda herself is bright and daring. She does contribute to a myriad of problems for other people, but they're usually by accident through good intentions. Yeah.
Another nice thing about the characters in this show are the relationships. So Hilda and her mom have a trusting mother-daughter relationship. So Hilda's mom is raising her by herself. Mm-hmm. And it's a surprisingly uplifting take on the parent character. She's not the bad guy. She's not overbearing, and she's not boring, trying to stop all your fun. She's supportive of Hilda the whole time. They work out conflicts in a really healthy manner. Sometimes there is a little bit of tension between them, and
especially when Hilda does something that's not good and she messes everything up and causes a lot of problems, which happens sometimes, but they deal with those conflicts in a healthy way and resolve them well.
And it's nice to see that there's always room for forgiveness and growth between them. Even though you have an adult and a child, there is still that respect and growth in their relationship throughout the show.
We also get to see Hilda's growth with various friendships that she makes, both with magical creatures and human kids, her friends. And this is shown particularly in how she treats Frida and David, who are the main side characters. And what's nice is that they really show how all these different characters have to change and adapt and grow as they hit different rough spots in their relationships. And the character growth, while it is subtle, it's also present in many ways, and it's shown pretty well throughout the series.
As far as Hilda's arc throughout the show, much of that is about her finding her way home, finding her place in home, and understanding what home means to her. She's just lost her place in the wilderness, which she loved, and she has to uproot and find a new place for herself and for her mom. So there's also a whole host of really quirky and lovable side characters, my favorite of whom is the Woodman, and he's actually a dude made out of logs.
He's not a woodsman, he's a woodman.
He's a woodman, and he lives in the wilderness, and he just barges into people's houses without knocking. He just comes into their house and takes their books and sits by their fire, and he has an unfortunate gambling problem. Magic is kind of just an accepted part of this world. It's a little different from our world in that sense.
Yeah, it's not as much of a surprise. Everyone kind of knows that there's trolls and
everybody
giants
knows that there's house spirits and trolls and things like that.
Yeah.
And then with the voice acting and the writing combined, it makes a whole host of really engaging side characters.
Mm-hmm. It has a youthful, free-spirited feeling to it. Mm-hmm. And you know that at the end of each adventure, there's going to be a warm house and friends and family. Mm-hmm. And they're all going to be waiting for you. Sometimes it's nice to have worlds that are simple like this and ones where eventually you're going to find your way home and everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be gritty and realistic all the time. Sometimes you can just have something like Hilda, which is really comforting and kind of takes you home after every episode.
Call it a chicken noodle soup show. It's a comfort show, like a comfort food. And you watch it when you feel sick, like I did.
Yeah. Overall, we really love Hilda, if you can't tell already, with its enchanting and whimsical atmosphere and its cast of appealing and relatable characters. It really hits the sweet spot between simplicity and maturity, and it sets you at ease with its quiet atmosphere and pulls you into a very captivating world.
Yeah. It's an entirely wholesome show. It's one of our favorite cartoons in recent memory that's recently been published. And we think it deserves to be given a chance. So we can't wait for season 2, and we hope that you check it out as well.
As far as an overall rating for the show,
I'd give it a solid A.
Yeah, same. Like, it could definitely be better, I guess. You know, it's just still a kid show at the end of the day, for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't have some of the more emotional impacts that shows like The Last Airbender or even Gravity Falls have. It's not as ambitious as any of those shows.
No.
But it's just a wonderful show in its own category.
Yeah.
And that's why we like it.
That's been it, guys. Thank you for watching another Turtle Bird review.
Please like and subscribe and leave a comment below if you'd like to see more content and reviews from us.
Yeah, let us know what you want us to review. We have quite a few things in mind because we're just getting started. So there's more shows and movies we want to touch on, and maybe books and video games as well in the future.
Games, yeah.
Who knows?
Like, I got a lot of books that I could review.
Yeah. So if you want to get notifications for that, hit the bell icon when you do subscribe so that you'll be notified for all our videos and not just some of them. So, yeah. That's about it. Thanks for watching.